Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be about Narcissistic Personality Disorder. There are a lot of facts and details that I want to include, so I'm going to try to jam pack it into one video. If I have to split it up, then I can do that too. So what we'll be covering is what makes a narcissist, how they become that way, what type of victims they tend to seek out, or what makes people the target for narcissistic abuse, the 3 stages of narcissistic abuse, the 3-stage cycle that they tend to take their victims or specifically their romantic partners through. Same thing, victim, partner, it's one and the same in this situation. And then just some tips on how to cope after narcissistic abuse, because I've been through it. So I'll be giving details or examples from my own situation as well. So let's get into it. What makes a narcissist a narcissist? There are a couple theories about why people turn into narcissists. Some people think they're just demonic. Some people think they were born evil and that they come from the pits of hell to do the devil's work. And that's kind of true. I mean, I can see why somebody would think that. But the theory I like to go with, or the one that makes the most sense to me, is child abuse. That a narcissist becomes a narcissist because of child abuse. And this theory makes more sense to me because the narcissists that I've dealt with, both of them were victims of child abuse. And whenever I go on YouTube and look at narcissist videos where self-aware narcissists talk about themselves, their story usually stems from child abuse. So when a child is being severely abused, in order to protect themselves, what they will do is they will completely abandon who they are, their real self or their true self. The person that they are when they're born. Babies are born innocent and loving, and things of that nature. But when you have a caretaker or a parent who is severely abusing you, in order to protect yourself as a child, the only thing you can really do is mentally detach yourself. So narcissists were severely abused as children. They detach themselves from their reality and they create what is called a false self. Basically, this false self is created it's like a coping mechanism for the pain that the true self was going through. So this false self is completely egotistical, a grandiose attitude, extreme self-importance. People tend to think of that when they think of narcissists. They think, people who take a lot of selfies or people who are really into themselves. But that's not what a narcissist is, sort of, but it's much more sinister. So it's much deeper than what people think or what they know. So this false self is created, and with this false self comes a complete lack of empathy, a complete lack of accountability. They can't take responsibility for anything that they do. And in order to feed their false self, they must manipulate people. They must feed off of people. And this is called narcissistic supply. So whenever a narcissist is whenever a narcissist is abusing someone, or whenever a narcissist is manipulating someone, they are getting supply from that person. They're almost feeding off of that person. Think of it kind of as like a vampire. So that's how a narcissist is created. Now, what makes people the perfect target for a narcissist? If you are an empath, if you are a highly sensitive person, if you are a codependent, then you are a target for a narcissist. I happen to be all 3. In terms of being an empath and a highly sensitive person, I feel as though I was born that way. That's just something I've always thought, that these things just seem to be embedded in me. But in terms of codependency, I am a recovering codependent because of, just like the narcissist, child abuse. They're kind of 2 sides of the same coin, you could say. Some children get abused and they become codependents, meaning that they learn how to survive their household by catering to their abuser's needs. And then codependents, when you become a codependent from this route, you carry that into your adult life, you carry that into your relationships, where you put your partner's feelings, or you put your partner before yourself. You put everything before your own feelings and you cater to that person. So you can see how that would be the perfect supply for a narcissist whose main goal is to manipulate and devalue people and feed their own ego. A codependent is like the perfect match for a narcissist. Now we'll get into the 3 stages of narcissistic abuse. And the first stage is the idealization phase. The second stage is the devaluing stage, and the third stage is the discard phase. So in the idealization phase, narcissists tend to do what they call love bombing. Basically what love bombing is, it's when a narcissist wants to spend all their time with you, call you nonstop. They are just throwing so much love energy, well, what appears to be love energy, your way. It's sort of like the honeymoon phase, except it's an extreme version of the honeymoon phase. It's like the honeymoon phase basically on crack. Like, for example, like I said, I'll be giving examples from my situation. We met online, and he was just like, I don't like to text, like I only like to do phone calls. So I'm like, all right, fine. I was working in an office setting, but like in an office that was only my office, meaning I didn't have coworkers, so I could be on my phone, I could be doing whatever while I'm in my office. And he worked in security, so he also had the option of he worked in security, so he also had the option of basically being on his phone all day. So that's what we did. Like our love bombing phase involved just us being on the phone for 12 to 13 hours a day, and I'm not exaggerating. We would wake up in the morning, call each other, and we'd be on the phone all day, like up until it was time to go to bed, which is completely not healthy. But nothing about a narcissistic personality or nothing about a narcissistic relationship is healthy. So love bombing is a big red flag. There is a science behind love bombing as well. It does release chemicals in your brain that basically makes you completely addicted to this person. Not really addicted to the person, but addicted to the feeling of love bombing. And it's not normal. Like, it's not, if you're emotionally stable, love bombing will turn you off. Like a narcissist trying to throw all this, like they want to be around 24/7. A normal person would be like, back off, like, hold on, we just met. But a codependent will eat up all this attention because in childhood, a codependent did not get this type of love and attention. So a narcissist is very well aware of that, and they will use it to their full advantage. So moving forward, I started to fall really, really hard for this guy. The love bombing was so intense. I had not felt that way about a man since my last relationship, which was also with a narcissist, but that's a different video. So I became extremely, extremely attached to him very quickly. And during this phase is also the phase where they'll start to collect all your personal information. Anything that they can use against you, they will collect in the love bombing phase. So he knew everything about my past, he knew everything about my childhood, he knew everything about my abusive upbringing. He knew everything, like everything that there was to know about me, like the deepest like parts of me he knew. So yeah, he knew about my abandonment issues, he knew about my abusive childhood and the things I have been through and the things that I still struggle with to this day. And then what they'll start to do is this thing called mirroring, where they, like, anything that you go through, they will make it seem like, oh, I've been through that too, and I understand completely, and yeah. And you just feel like, basically like you met your soulmate. Like, I'll be like, oh yeah, my birthday's February 5th. And he'll point out like, oh yeah, our birthday is exactly 1 month apart. My birthday's March 5th. And then I'll be like, yeah, my last name's Martin. And he'll be like, oh yeah, my middle name's Martin. Now, I don't know if any of this is even true. Because sometimes mirroring, like, some of the things are truthful, but then sometimes they're literally just lying to basically pull you in. Like, we will always have jokes like, yeah, like, we knew each other in a past life. Like, we've known each other for, like, centuries and things like that. We connected over, like, spirituality, politics, law, things of that nature. We had a lot of similar interests, so that's what we connected over. But it's kind of like, who knows if he even was interested in any of those things, because during the mirroring phase, they'll say whatever they need to say. So, yeah, the idealization phase lasted a couple weeks, and then slowly but surely, we started to move into the devaluing phase. And usually with narcissists, the devaluing phase, it can start for any amount of reasons. Sometimes they're just tired of you, or sometimes they're bored of you, or they see a flaw in you, and now they need to start like nitpicking at you. Like the devaluing phase is when they start to try to bring you down. That pedestal that they put you on the idealization phase, like you're about to get snatched off. I brought the devaluation stage on more quickly than maybe it would have been brought on, because during the idealization phase, he mentioned another girl. Like he said something else about another girl, and I got really, really, really highly upset. He said he was dating another girl, something along those lines, and I was just like, what? Like, and I got really upset, and after that, I was like, no, be done with him. Like, he's playing games already. Like, y'all just met, like, no. So, the next day, I just completely, like, didn't answer my phone, didn't answer my text. I was just like, bye, like, I'm done with you. But what I did not realize what was going to happen is that, I had been love bombed so hard, or the love bombing phase had been so intense that I started to withdraw from the chemicals that are being released in your brain during that phase. And it's not like, oh, I feel like I'm withdrawing. Like, no, you're physically, like, you're actually withdrawing. So I remember being just severely depressed, just severely, like, just nonstop thinking about him. And I was just like, oh, this is just stupid. Like, maybe I should just contact him. We should just talk it. Like, we should just work it out or whatever. So then I contacted him that night, and he, like, because I had been ignoring him all day, he completely ignored me, like, for the next, like, 3 days, I want to say. Like, I was, like, texting him, calling him, like, hey, like, can we talk? Now, I do want to warn you that once you do this, once you decide to cut the narcissist off, or you decide to give them silent treatment or whatever else, stay away from them after that. Like, don't go back to them, because basically what you have caused them by ignoring them, what I did, is a narcissistic injury, which is... You can't forget that these people are operating from a place of very deep trauma, and you are subconsciously, you're pretty much reminding them of that trauma, of what they've been through in childhood when you do certain things that they don't like. Now, an emotionally stable person, you will hurt them and they will be like, well, I'm done with you, goodbye. But narcissists, they will act like they forgive you, but if you cause them an injury, everything that they do from then forward is about revenge. Like, they need to get the upper hand. You've reminded them of their true self, and now they have to, their false self needs supply now, because you have wounded them, you have injured them. So they need something to feed their ego. So yeah, they are about to go hard to try to destroy you, pretty much. Like, if you decide to cut one off, stay away. No matter how much they act like they forgive you, they never ever will. They're going to try to get even after that. So he acted like he forgave me. He told me that he stopped dealing with the other girl that he was actually dealing with, that I was mad with about in the first place. And then after that, we kind of started to move forward, or I thought we were getting back to where we were, or starting over. Like I said, this is when the devaluing phase started to come through. I remember one night he was out with his friends, or he was out, it was like in 12:30 a.m., something along those lines, and I'm just like, all right, well, I'm going to bed. Just make sure you text me when you get in, or you call me when you get in, even if I'm asleep. Like, I still want to know that you got home safe, right? And he's like, all right, cool. Went to sleep, woke up, did not hear anything from him. I'm just like, wait, what's happening? Didn't hear from him like at all that day. I'm calling him, texting him, like, what's happening? Like, I'm thinking something happened to him. And then I finally do get in touch with him, and I'm just like, what's your problem? Like, why are you didn't, basically what he was doing was implementing the silent treatment. I have a thread on Twitter about how that certain people will use the silent treatment as a form of abuse, basically, and every time they see you texting them or calling them, they get a kick out of it. They get a kick out of the fact that you are trying to reach out to them, and they get supply every time you are trying to reach out to them. So I am calling, texting, worried to death, and then when I finally talk to him, like, the panic in my voice, I'm like, what, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? Like, I thought something happened to you. And he's just like, okay, relax, drama. It's not that serious. And I'm just like, okay, like I said, the devaluation phase, it comes on. Sometimes people, like, narcissists do it very subtly. Sometimes it just hits you, like they just come right with it. And yeah, that's basically what he did. And I was just like, what's your problem? What's wrong with you? And he's just like, no, I'm just like, you're just so dramatic for nothing. Like, and I'm like, okay, well, if you don't want me to care, like, about what's wrong with you, then I won't care. And he's just like, oh, well, like, you're just dramatic. I'll just talk to you later. And, like, hung up the phone pretty much. And things just kind of I don't want to make this too long, like this isn't a story time, but I just wanted to give examples. But yeah, things progressively got worse after that. The devaluing phase just started to get worse. He started to triangulate me, which is something that narcissists do, where they will bring other people into your relationship, like subtly. What they will start to do is mention other people. So the next thing you know, his ex's name started to pop up a little more often. And I'm just like, okay, like, why are you mentioning this girl? Like, why? Because don't forget, narcissists, they're always the victim. So everything that I've heard about this girl is that she's a demon. She's cheated on him, left him, done the worst possible things to him. And if you read anything about narcissistic abuse, they're usually lying. They're usually the ones who did something wrong to the ex. But to you, they want to play the victim and make it seem like their exes did something so horrible. And that's why they usually end up going back to their ex, because their ex usually did nothing wrong. They're usually the ones who did something wrong. So his ex's name started to come up more frequently. He would make little comments about her body, how she has a nice body. And I was just like, I don't, like, what? It was so strange and familiar because, like I said, I've been with a narcissist before. I didn't know he was a narcissist, but basically I started to see a repetition of what was going on in my other relationship. And I was just like, you know, you remind me of somebody. And he was just like, don't be comparing me to no other dudes. Like, he just turned into a complete asshole, I guess you could say. Like, the person that I knew in the beginning, which I didn't really know him because he was just mirroring me, was completely different than the person he started to turn into. And I told him that, and he was just like, well, you don't know me. So, like, you don't know me. So you can't tell me I'm changing because you don't really know me. And, but that's just deflecting because they don't, like I said, they can't take responsibility for anything that they ever do. So yeah, he started to triangulate me with his ex a lot. He kept mentioning her. It was getting on my nerves. I was getting sick of it. He started mentioning like other girls that he was used to deal with and how one was like Instagram famous. And I'm just like, bro, I really don't care. Like, why are you mentioning these girls to me? And he's just kind of like, why are you so insecure? Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm just like making conversation. Don't be so insecure about it. I'm just like, whatever. But that's the thing. Like, they enjoy bragging. They enjoy triangulating you. It feeds their ego. So, yeah, it was a lot of ups and downs during the evaluation phase, but mostly I could feel like my self-esteem getting jabbed at. And I'm just like, okay, this is just not healthy. This is not good. But because I felt so connected to this man because of the love bombing phase or because of the idealization phase, I felt so connected to this man. I was just like, I'm not going to just give up. Like, I'm not just going to walk away, which was very sad to think of. It's sad to think about now because it was very similar to my other relationship, like I said before. Like, this is the phase where they're letting you know, like, you're not really shit to me. Like, I don't have no respect for you. And it only gets worse from there. And it's very traumatizing to feel like you, it's very traumatizing to feel like you are so connected to somebody and to have them just switch up like that, but not only switch up, but the things that they used to love about you, then all of a sudden, they're the things that they hate about you, they're the things that are annoying about you, and they're the things that like they will compare you to other people about and make you feel like you're lesser. And these people know exactly what they're doing because they target people who have abusive childhood backgrounds, and what they're doing is that they are purposely triggering your wounds from child abuse, which is as sick as it sounds. Yeah, we're about to move into the discard phase, which is the most traumatic phase, or the most traumatic thing I've ever been through personally. One day, I'm in my office and I get a call from him, and he was very upset, and I'm just like, okay, well, what's wrong? And he starts to say that like his ex, she drove past his job, and I guess she was with the guy that she cheated on him with and left him for, and it triggered him. And like, she was texting him and still calling him and telling him that like she still loves him and things along that lines. And I guess like it triggered him that she drove past with this man. And so he was trying to FaceTime her. And this is the first time that I started to notice that something was really, really wrong. Because I'm just like, okay, why are you trying to, like, he started to get, like, he was very frantic. And that's because like I said, she caused him a narcissistic injury. When they get a narcissistic injury, like they become sort of manic, like they start like flipping out, like they go into narcissistic rage, and they're not really thinking clearly. You can tell their mind's not there. They're just like, they're compulsively just acting, and they're just being completely impulsive and reckless. So he starts saying how he's about to pull up at her house, how he's back to back FaceTiming her and all this stuff, and I'm just like, whoa, like what's happening? Like I was very confused, because I'm just like, okay, why are you, first of all, you're telling me this, like you know I have feelings for you. Why would you even like feel like, you're showing me basically how much you care still for another woman. So that was kind of weird. But being the person that I am and the empath that I am, I'm just like, I'm going to put that to the side and forget about the fact that I was uncomfortable. And if he's uncomfortable, I'm going to be there and talk to him about it. Or if he's upset, I'm going to be there for him. So I was just like, calm down, like, you know, she doesn't deserve you, like basically feeding his ego, like don't pull up on her, don't even give her the satisfaction, like, you know, you can do so much better and all those things. And I guess it sort of calmed him down. So after he got off work, he went home and we got on Snapchat, and we had a really good conversation on Snapchat. Now looking back on it, the only reason we had a good conversation is because he was going through narcissistic injury and he needed his ego fed, and me being on Snapchat with him and just complimenting him and talking to him and laughing with him, he was getting supply from that and getting an ego boost from that. So that's why the conversation was so good. So when I woke up that next morning, I felt uneasy. Something in my head told me to ask him about something that I noticed he said the previous day, because when he was going off about his ex, he said something along the lines of like something about last weekend. And I'm just like, wait, it sounded like he was saying that he was at her house last weekend. So I'm just like, okay, wait, like that hit me in the morning basically. And I was just like, all right, I gotta ask him, like I'm gonna ask him what's like, you know, if he was at her house last weekend. So this when things got really bad and things got really intense at this point.